Okay, guys, how are you guys? Sorry, slight delay. Couple little clicks on my part that went kind of wacko here, but thank you for joining us for the bingo. And guess who we brought? We brought today Elaine with the Jewish Roots Project. How you doing, Elaine?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're really excited because you have really been going into the project, I'd say probably the last couple of weeks, and looking at it, researching it, cleaning it up a little bit, and making it all grown up.
I'm trying. I just started, and I hmm, I gave my children new toys so that they would not come in. They're still talking to me. I'm trying so hard. Um, but yes, I have project coordinator as of a couple months ago, and mainly I've just been adding new categories, trying to find who all we have on WikiTree that's not well documented. And luckily, people in the project and outside the project have been using the categories, needs more sources, needs gravestone transcription. I really like that one
I
because
saw
the
that. That one's
gravestones are
interesting.
typically in Hebrew and English, and the Hebrew usually has the name of the father. So if someone can read that, then that really helps with the genealogy. So
And
yes, everyone use that category.
I can imagine that you probably need a little help with the project too,
Oh yes,
since
please.
we're bringing it back into full fledged. So any of you that have an interest or heritage of the Jewish roots, definitely join in. And I will say that I am the team lead for the province of Georgia, and one of the first settlers, well, actually, the first settlers of Savannah were Jews. And it was a large ship that we are still working on trying to add profiles to. And I'm just fascinated by their journeys, their histories. So I know that with Jewish roots, you have such a varied amount of ways that people came to America or came to different countries within Europe because of the wars. So I think that it's important to understand that for Jewish roots, it's not just the Holocaust, but I imagine you do a lot of work with that. There's some good stories out there as well.
There's so much that happened before that, like that's yeah, in which people forget about historical pogroms and everything.
I can tell you, I've been fascinated. I'll show you a little bit later on because Elaine and I were talking about it probably about a month ago about one of the diaries that came out from one of the passengers on that ship, and to see their handwriting and to see the weathered look and to get a story, a real story from the source is kind of interesting to us. And
Yeah, I
just
love the page you've made. Yeah.
I know, is it good? And I just posted the first bingo card. So if you guys want to bring up your bingo card, we're going to get ready in a second. And thank goodness Elaine's here because I don't know if we could pronounce some of the words.
I will, yes, and I will do my best. Sandy. Hi.
Elaine, I will tell you, you're not the first. You're not going to be the last. So
Well,
we'll
this
say
happens
hi.
all the time with my Black Heritage meetings, and it's no big deal because it's like just us. It's not on YouTube forever and ever. Anyway,
Well, usually Awen and I have our pup with us. So we all have our kids join us
I
as
just can't.
well. Well, let me bring up to
Oh
begin
boy.
with. Let's bring up the screen and let's talk a little bit about the Jewish Roots Project. And when did you become PC?
Maybe about 3 months ago. I've been a member for longer, and I've been interested for a long time and worked with the project, but I never actually signed the G to G to join. Um,
And I know that you're working on the page too. She's spiffing it up. She's adding some more data, some good research as well with the page. But what's really great about it is it matches a lot of what WikiTree projects are. And here's where you can find out how to join the project. You can find out, contact Elaine right here or Bob. Bob's part of the project too. And
and I
add,
think he's in the
if you're
chat.
interested, add
Yeah.
Jewish roots to your tags on WikiTree as well. And then every time there's something on G2G or something mentioned, then you'll have that access to you and you'll see it right away. What I want to do though is get right into some interesting stories. So I believe this is one of Bob's ancestors, possibly,
Mhm.
is Ida.
I think so.
And
Mhm.
I love, look at the pictures. and this is such a well documented profile for Jewish roots as well. We can see where Jewish immigrants to America, we were talking about the categories, and also the cemetery and the Jewish roots. So I guess my question for you, Elaine, is for Jewish roots, what does that mean? Does that mean if I have ancestors far removed, I have Jewish roots, and also if I am Jewish, I have Jewish roots?
That's a great question. Lots of people have talked about for that for hundreds of years. For the purpose of WikiTree, just use your best, use
Okay.
your you what do you call it? Use your common sense.
Yeah.
Use your best guess. If you are Jewish, obviously, then you could use the sticker or category. You don't have to use the sticker. Um, just a second. I cannot believe.
Well, I think that's true, don't you think, Awen? For most of our stickers too, is use
Yeah.
your common sense. And I guess this is probably a good time to mention just because we might have a million stickers available on WikiTree doesn't mean every profile needs every sticker possible. Sometimes
No.
in this case, I like it that it just has this one because it showcases what's important to the profile manager.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
Um,
on your own profiles, use as many as you want, but when it's ancestors, just the really significant ones.
Yeah,
These,
I would say if you just like you were asking about how far back or whatever, I
mhm.
would say if you just discovered you had 1% on Ashkenazic Jewish on Ancestry and you have no idea, like, I guess you could put the category if you wanted because you're actively searching for it, but it would be like I would not go between you and the person in like the 1500s and then put a
Yeah,
category for all of them because like they have no clue. Um,
yeah, I
or,
would
or
agree.
you might be on the wrong line or something. Yeah, so just use your common sense. We don't have a written rule and we've not had any problems with.
This does bring up something else. I know that this is bingo, and we have fun with bingo. We have a lot of fun with it, and we Aaron and I have talked before that we kind of use the bingo as a vehicle to learn more about the projects. And today we do have two heritage projects. We have the Jewish roots and then the United States Black heritage. So we do want to be respectful. We know that bingo is fun, so what we're doing is in a respectful way, trying to showcase the project and have a little bit of fun along the way with it. I just want to point out something else that's really interesting on this particular profile. You'll notice the family lore. I love anytime I see family lore or family stories or anything on a profile, I instantly my eyes go straight to it, and I find that fascinating to see. So this was kind of interesting because it said that she escaped and was only 16 when a priest guided her through swamps to get across the border into Latvia and onto a ship bound for America. I mean, I just thought that was fascinating story to read. And he's well documented it with the census, and it's amazing that he has these beautiful photos too to show. I wanted to quickly go to two different communities that you have. And Elaine, could you tell us a little bit about the Alliance Colony in New Jersey?
Sure, I was working on that a couple years ago, so my memory is not really fresh on that. But basically, Baron de Hirschfeld, who was in Europe, maybe in France at the time, was gathering funding for lots of Jews to leave Europe and to go start farming colonies in the US and Canada, or South America, a few different places. Um, So with some of that funding, they were able to start these farming communities. And a lot of them lasted for decades. Some of them had more trouble than others, like just getting used to the new agriculture. Like they actually had some schools in Europe so they could learn how to farm if they didn't know how before. Um, so yeah, this particular one, there's still a community group that is kind of reviving it. Not in the way it was before, but just keeping its memory alive and I believe doing some gardens, that kind of thing. Um, and yes, this was for one of our, oh dear, I'm afraid I've blanked on which guest it was. It was one of our WikiTree Challenge guests. It could
Oh,
have been
Mark
AJ
Cuban.
Jacobs.
Mark Cuban, I
No,
believe.
it wasn't
No?
that one.
Because I
No,
know
it
you have a
wasn't yet.
lot of more Cuban ones.
This was
that
one of the
you-
longer time ago ones. In any case, they have deep connections with this Sonnenfeld colony. Oh wait, Sonnenfeld was Canada. This is Alliance. Anyway. But yeah, I had no idea about any of this until we started with this WikiTree challenge guest. So yeah.
What's interesting, if you notice, there's a listed name and there are some links here, and there are some that don't have links. So guess what? This is where the Jewish Roots Project would love to have some help to help add these profiles to WikiTree, complete profiles, get them connected to the tree as well. And that way we can complete this one Alliance colony and get a full picture of who was there. And this was, I think you said around 1882 is when it started on the page here. So that's pretty amazing. We have some really good records from the United States around that time frame that could definitely help. Okay, then let's move on to the Sonnenfeld colony. And could you tell us a little bit about this one? Because this one is in Canada.
Yes, it is on the flat plains, super cold, super windy, definitely very challenging to do farming on it. But there's still at the bottom, I think I have a link to a survivor. Or I say survivor, that's well, it was cold, but it wasn't that cold, I guess. Anyway, he's in his mid 90s now, and he lived there for decades. And he moved to a town more recently. But he and his mother kept his farm for a long time. Yeah, I can't remember his surname right now.
Is it this one, Feldman?
I
No,
just
he
can't
passed away.
remember.
Yeah, he passed away.
Well,
But
yeah, no, it's certainly
yeah,
not him. No, I don't believe I've made a profile for the living man. And if I did, you couldn't see it
yeah.
because he's not famous enough to have an open profile.
Did they all
But
come from Hungary, around the Austrian-Hungary area to
definitely
Canada?
definitely the four original people all came from there. There may have been some who came from other areas, but one of those agricultural schools was in that Galicia, Hungary, where that Feldman guy came from. So four men all came together and then brought families and more people later on. Yeah, so they got their training there first, and I wish I had reviewed this ahead of time. This is
No,
one of our, I made this page a couple years ago. This is one of our fabulous WikiTree challenge guests and current, sometimes Jewish Roots participant, Louis Kessler's family. And he has helped me so much with everything. I can't even tell you. But yeah, I know I have more research for some of these people. We'll be able to complete this maybe a little faster than the New Jersey one. I haven't done as much research on that.
but it's
But
still
Lewis knows a number of, oh yeah, Louis Kessler, that's his grandfather, I think. Anyway.
well. This would be great too. So, I'll talk a little bit about. We're not really going to go into Jewish DNA right at this time because that's a topic that we could be here for days and days. But I know that when we scheduled this, I had a lot of people ping me wanting to know a little bit more because in their DNA it shows some Jewish heritage. Mostly what it shows, at least on Ancestry that I see, is the Ashkenazi. So could you tell us the differences between the classification? I believe there's Ashkenazi and one or two other ones.
Yeah, Sephardic would be the main one people talk about.
Okay.
There's a third one, of which I would not do well on the pronunciation. But yeah, those are the main two. And Ashkenazi would be mainly from Eastern Europe. So a pale of settlement, including Germany. So they would most of them would be originally in Germany back in prior to year 1000, and then kept moving eastward. Some stayed, others kept moving eastward. Probably y'all can hear that doorbell, huh?
No,
No, thank goodness. Okay.
not until you told us.
My kids. Okay. And then Sephardic, that would be Spanish. So from Spain and Portugal. So they originated from there. And then there were a few small expulsions before 1492, but 1492 was the really big one. So then they scattered from there. So now in the US and well, and everywhere, Canada, Argentina, all those places, they have a mix of both Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews, but worldwide, I think it's like 80% Ashkenazi-ish, and then a 20% Sephardic. And there's a newer term for Middle Eastern Jews who
Oh, that's
stayed in Israel like that whole time, but there weren't very many, and it's a newer term, and I cannot remember it, and I'm sorry.
no, that's
Starts with an
interesting.
M.
I didn't think about that, but that would make sense that
Yeah,
there is a separate and a third section for. And
starts with an
before
M.
we start bingo, I do want to ask you one question.
Mhm.
Fridays are special to the
Oh,
Jewish
yes.
religion. Could you
Yes, one
explain
of the
that?
words is Shabbat or Shabbos, depending on which cultural language, Yiddish or Hebrew, that you're using. So the Jewish day begins, it's sundown to sundown. So the beginning of the new day this evening will be at about 6:30 or something. I'm not sure. There are halakhic times that you can follow for your particular area. But anyway, that's the day of rest. You read the Bible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, 7-day rest. So depending on your particular stream of Judaism, there might be you might do certain things, not do certain things. A lot of people go to synagogue. Some people do no work whatsoever. There's a whole pounds and pounds of literature on what's work and what to do and not do. But anyway, yes, Shabbat is special, and people go on a Friday evening service, and then also a Saturday morning service sometimes. So
That's great. Well, we
yeah.
appreciate you joining us then on Shabbat.
Oh,
Right?
sure.
Well, let's go
I
ahead
might
and
actually go to the 7 p.m. thing. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
let's go ahead and play
In my
bingo.
new
Everybody
crowd.
has their bingo cards up. Now we're gonna rely on you, Elaine.
Yes, I even put it. Okay, I mentioned that. That was the expulsion of 1492's the year that Spain kicked all the Jews out, and then they had to find new homes. And oh yes, even I have this. Can you see the 1492 on here? Anyway, it's a super and special year in time period because the 1000 to 1492. That's when things started to change. Anyway, okay, so there were. We should go faster, huh? Judah. So that's the southern part of Israel, like north part, Old Kingdom would be Israel, and then the southern part's Judah. That's where Jewish came from.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm so used to seeing people chatting on the side, but I don't have that here as the guest. It's just not diaspora. So diaspora, I suppose it could be a word that applies to a lot of cultures, but Jewish diaspora would be Jews scattering from the homeland, the Levant, the Middle East, then to Rome, up to Germany, up to over there, up to the Pale Settlement, all that diaspora scattering.
We sometimes also hear that with the Huguenots, not as much, but sometimes because they get scattered.
Stolperstein. So this would be a really great project for the group to take on. There are tens of thousands of them. They're stones that are placed in Europe outside of the place that the Jew last lived before they were sent to the places. So there are, I think I don't know. I'd have to look. There are probably like 20,000 of them. I don't know, something like that. And they're adding more all the time. So they take a little stone out of the street because all these places are cobblestone, and then they add a new stone and they engrave their name, their date, their address, and occasionally some family members.
Well, that's amazing. So
it's a really interesting
they're
project.
using a list of those that did not survive, and they are actually taking a cobblestone from the street and engraving it.
Yeah, I mean, they might be adding a new cobblestone, but they take
Yeah.
out an old cobblestone, put in a new one right by the house they used to live in.
That's amazing.
The kids just said the dog escaped. I don't even know.
You're fine.
I don't even know.
You're fine.
Stolperstein, it means stumbling stone.
Oh,
It means stumbling stone. And I meant to email you like a list with the key for all the words. If my dog really escaped, I feel like I should go get her.
Your dog's running around the
Now
neighborhood.
I feel like Judy's making this up. Okay, crypto Jew is someone who hides their Judaism. Like they were told that they had to convert to Catholicism or whatever, and maybe outwardly they go do some things, but really they stay home and they still do Shabbat. I feel like I should go See,
Go check.
about
Yeah.
this dog
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, go
Okay,
check.
check.
So sorry.
It's
No,
okay.
no. And this
Uh,
gives me a chance because I totally forgot to mention how to win bingo. So
Oh.
again, with how to win bingo is you can go up or down, the horizontal, diagonal too, right? I think we do
Yeah.
diagonal too. Hi. And the first person who gets bingo has to actually type the word bingo in the chat and they will get the prize. There is one small catch. If you have won in the past 6 months, you are not eligible for a prize. We see you. So you're not eligible for a prize. So again, to get bingo, horizontally, vertically, diagonally, and you must be the first to type the word bingo into the chat, and you cannot have won within the past 6 months. I like this.
Here she comes.
There we go. Take a breath. You're
I
fine.
cannot believe it. The problem is they said that they honey, you can sit here with me if you want, okay? You want to sit and read the words with me?
Just don't close the door.
You can sit and read the words with me, honey.
We'll go on to the next one. Take a breath. You're okay.
I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
No, you're okay.
You're fine.
So Levant is Western Asia along the Mediterranean. So Israel, Jordan, all that. Shabbat Shavuos, I already said that one.
we
That
talked
would be
about
today
Shabbat.
starting about 6 or so. And it lasts for 25 hours. Not
Oh,
24.
really?
That's part of the lunar solar thing. And also I think it's also just to make doubly sure that you don't accidentally do work on Shabbats. If you had extra time on, then you can be really sure about it. Or at least that's what I thought.
Do you
That
put
could be
down your
totally
cell?
wrong.
Do you put
But it
down your
makes
cell
sense to
phones
me.
and everything? You
Huh?
you put down your cell phones and everything in case there's
That
work attached to
completely
it?
depends on your particular form of Judaism. If you're some types of Orthodox might even use a phone to look at something, but probably not. But yeah, there's a whole variety of practices. Yizkor book, that would be a memory book. Specifically, after the Holocaust, a number of people who survived wrote down everything about their prior village. Their village might be destroyed. So that is a memory book.
And that's something that genealogists, anybody can look at and find?
Yes. Now, I mean, there are a ton that are sitting on shelves that haven't been translated, but also there are ongoing translation projects for tons of them. You can find them on Jewish Gen and a few other websites. So some of them they might be in Hebrew, Yiddish, other languages, but you can read them. They are being translated. You can word search them for your families. Very valuable. 5783, that is the current year. Counting, it's a traditional Jewish year counting from year 0, like whenever the world was created. It's kind of a calculation. And I wonder when. Well, anyway, yeah, that's the current year. It starts
That's
at,
pretty cool.
and it'll be 5784 starting in like September, October, whenever Rosh Hashanah is this year. That would be first 5 books of Moses, or more expansively, it could be the Tanakh, which would include the writings and the prophets, so Ketuvim, and okay, Torah. Yes, that's it, Moshe, Moses. So I wanted to put the Moshe because you'll see that sometimes in on gravestones or on documents. Moses is what we say in English, but you'll often see Moshe as well, because that's what it is in Hebrew. It's like an M, an SH sound, and an eh sound. Max, how about you sit and tell me, okay? How about you sit and tell me some of the words? You can help me, okay? You can. Okay, that one's Moses. Okay, Max, how about you help me?
This one might
Rosh
be
Hashanah, New Year, and it's since this will be another word, but it runs on lunisolar, so it's not always the same day every year, but generally September, October, and that's the New Year. You blow the shofar. That would be the ram's horn. Okay. Well, then go help. You, Max, you are a daughter and son. His daughter.
I was going to say, I think I got this one, but I wasn't sure.
Just fix it, honey.
you might find this to be funny, and you might think that I'm not telling the truth, but I almost miss my kid being around 8 years old right now because he was super cool and fun. Now he's just a moody college student.
Okay, so that was maybe one of the hardest ones I put on there that you couldn't guess if I had to leave. Box
Yeah.
tax. This would also be known as a kosher tax. So in Eastern Europe, they had Jews had to pay extra taxes, so they might pay an extra tax on the meat, or a candle tax, for example, for
And
Shabbat
just the
candles.
Jews had to do that. Like the Christians didn't. I can only imagine.
I asked for good vibes from a variety of people. I should have asked for prayers. That would have been a much better idea about the kid situation. I almost got a babysitter, but I'm in a new city in a short-term rental house. Anyway, yeah. So, and sometimes at the kosher at places, they would have a literal box, and that's where they would stick the tax. But those are good because they have genealogical records in them.
Oh, well, that's great. I didn't know
Yes.
that too. Okay, we talked a little bit
We
about
already covered that one.
Ashkenazi, so we'll go on. Is anybody close with bingo? Let's see if that. And then this one kind of seemed like
No.
a Spanish or Italian word to me.
Oh, I thought I was on mute. I'm so sorry. Yes. So Max, just fix it. I'm so.
No, you're
I just
fine.
don't even know. Okay. A conversa, yes, that is Spanish, and that is someone who converts to Catholicism, but they are still ethnically Jewish,
Oh,
and they might even go back to Judaism at some point. So yes, conversa meaning converted. Okay, it sounds like I need to help. They got to be making this up. A kid with a knife or something? Like I don't even know. Hang on.
okay. Well, it looks like 3 of you need one. I will keep going. Can you say? Oh, nope. I was going to see if he can say this word. I don't think he thinks we can see him. I'm going to take a guess at that.
That would be Hebrew word for catastrophe. That is the word for the Holocaust. So it's actually becoming more. You'll see it more in the newspapers and stuff now than you used to as another word for the Holocaust. Some
How
people
do you
prefer it.
pronounce that word?
Just Shoah.
Shoah. And so would I say that? Would I say that instead of Holocaust? Would I say Shoah?
You could, but I mean, I feel like in America, most people still say Holocaust, so that would be the right way to go.
Okay, and we have a bingo. So let me bring this down. We lost it. So, Janine, what you need to do for the bingo is, let me bring up, you're going to email Eowyn and you're going to tell her that you won the bingo on today. This is the February 3rd and the first bingo for the Jewish roots. If you email her that information, she will get back in touch with you with what and how you can proceed from there to order. And I might recommend again the bingo
That's a
mug.
really
I think
pretty mug.
it's the most popular thing that's there.
Oh wait, but do you make it in this size?
No, I wish they did. I wish they did. That would be cool if they did. That would be really cool. So I agree. Way to go, Janine. Congratulations. And that was pretty cool because I also learned a couple different things there. So I kind of like saying the word Shoah better than Holocaust because I don't know if it's because we attach Holocaust to something that just gives me this bad feeling inside, and Shoah just it sounds more appropriate, I guess, towards
Maybe because it's not only, I mean, it means catastrophe, so it's very appropriate. And
yeah.
I don't know if it'll be the kind of thing where over the coming 10 or 20 years, there will be a total conversion over to that other word instead. I do not know. I've not kept up with that particular
Part
linguistic
of it.
feature.
Let me move on, and I just wanted to I'll bring my screen. I wanted to mention something that Janine mentioned. I'm sorry, that Elaine mentioned. I got Janine on, and while I do that, let me also, sorry guys, I know I'm sharing my screen here. Let me bring it back. Okay, let me give you guys a chance to get the bingo card up while I ask Elaine a couple questions.
I didn't review those new words you put on the bingo card, so
You'll be fine.
we'll
They're
see if they
easy.
get picked or
No,
not.
no, easy peasy. So what I wanted to mention is the categories. We talked a little bit about the categories, and one of the categories on the maintenance categories, every project has maintenance categories, guys. So the one is the needs gravestone transcription. I agree. I love having that particular category there. There was another one I noticed. This was quite big. So this is why I said Mark Cuban earlier. So when you had the challenge last year for Mark Cuban, he has a couple ancestors in here that the Jewish roots would love to have your help with as well. And these are some Feldmans. These are from Russia. And I always like to bring up ones that are a little bit different to show everybody. So this is kind of fascinating. You can see how whoever entered this entered in the place of birth as it would be where he was born. So
And that actually that one's not particularly informative because it just says Russian Empire. So one of those square miles that's Russian Empire covers about half the world. So
yeah,
that
exactly.
one's not very particular. And yeah, I didn't enter that one. I need to learn more about especially in WikiTree Plus and stuff, search capabilities for those different locations.
Here's a little
Anyway.
bit different one that you can see. This one is pretty detailed out a little bit, but I find this amazing because and then they landed in Pittsburgh. So
I guess they would have gotten to Philadelphia and then went to Pittsburgh. And by the way, that says Ekaterinoslav in both Hebrew first and then in Russian. And then Ekaterinoslav, it must be one of them is the like county, and then one of them's the city name or something. Ekaterinoslav is a very large area. Anyway. And I really don't know how well the search works if you put both languages in there.
I think that was
good to find out.
probably interesting, probably tough. And then I wanted to show again, everybody get your bingo card up for the next bingo, because the next bingo will be interesting. It's not trivia bingo because I wanted to be a little bit more respectful to the heritage, but we do have some interesting comments that are trivia like with the second bingo card. So make sure to bring up your second bingo card. I just wanted to bring up, being a little selfish here, my experience with the Jewish Roots Project. And again, with Provence of Georgia, which was before the United States was the United States, there was a ship, the William and Sarah, that came aboard Savannah, Georgia, came ashore, Savannah, Georgia. And this ship actually had nowhere else to go. It was in dire straits. It wasn't shipwrecked, but it was in pretty bad dire straits. So the interesting thing with the province of Georgia is that it was set up by England, by Oglethorpe, and England at the time did not allow Catholics into any settlement that they created, including the province of Georgia. So when this ship arrived, and it does have a lot of the is your Arabic? How do you pronounce the word?
Is the word on there?
Well, it's not. They're not Ashkenazi. They are
Sephardic.
Sephardic. Okay, sorry,
yeah.
It's Sephardic. So this does have predominantly Sephardic passengers, and we do have 8 that were Ashkenazi that actually came into. But my point is that Oglethorpe, Governor Oglethorpe from England, who set up this province, was not allowed to take Catholics, would not take Catholics. So when the ship of Jewish settlers arrived and they needed help, they desperately needed help. They said, as long as you weren't Catholic, then you should be allowed in. So they allowed them in, and that's how they got in. So this is just, and I need to link this to Elaine's Jewish Roots page, because this is another one where we're looking for help to add. And there are some great resources. And the reason why I say great resources is Benjamin Shaftal was one of the first settlers in Savannah before America was America on the ship. But his son is the reason why we have details of the Jewish colony that came into Savannah and his journal. And there are several pages, there are 69, 70 pages worth of his handwritten notes here that document his community and the ship and the people on it. It's just fabulous. If you're into historical documents, this is a fabulous document. And I wanted to bring this up as well because there's so much more to Jewish heritage than just the Holocaust. It's an important piece, no doubt, but I wanted to also let those of you that might not have the means to add profiles for those that did not make it out after World War II. There are other options for you. The colonies that we showed you from Canada and New Jersey a few moments ago, this one that was in the province of Georgia, and records are easily findable too. This is not going to be a struggle to really find a lot of the names. But if you're also into just history, or if you're into documentation and reading some old diaries, this one is a fabulous one. I just want to point out, I have visited this, and actually when we scheduled Jewish Roots, I had spoken to a rabbi that this is one of the, this is the first synagogue built in Georgia, and it's a beautiful, they have a museum and everything that you can go through. It's just really amazing. When I was speaking with the rabbi, telling him that we were going to do your project, he was thrilled that we could maybe look at adding some more of the Sheftals into our profile system.
Did he mention if they had records, like in-house
They
records?
do. They
at
do
the
have some
synagogue?
records, but
Mhm.
they have turned over most of the records over to the Georgia Historical Society, and the Georgia, or at least the indexes in the Georgia Historical Society. If they don't have the actual records, they will link to the organizations that do. So they're kind of like the index system that will go here. I say that, but I will tell you that this particular page was like fabulous for a genealogist that was researching that particular ship of Jews that came onto the province of Georgia. So it was really amazing. And this is actually the third oldest Jewish congregation that's in America. And keep in mind
That's
that they
beautiful.
came before America. So they, as they lived there and had children, their congregation just got larger and larger. So that's some big thing. But let me bring up, and I'll bring up the bingo cards in a minute. So Azure says she's got a space page for the United States Holocaust Museum. And interesting because
For now, you can just email it to me and I'll put it on our Jewish Roots project page, which is currently too long and will be
she's doing
divvied up into more appropriate sections. But in any case, we don't want, we're gathering links and we'll then organize them. So yes, just send it to me. I'll get
And Elaine is doing amazing things with the project and with the page. I mean, you're
trying.
and it takes a hot minute to get in and look and explore what's there and how you want it to look and what the purpose. And the main purpose is exploring the Jewish roots. And how do we do that on WikiTree? I think WikiTree is a great example of how to do it right. It's very respectful how WikiTree handles heritage. And we'll talk a little bit later in the second bingo with the United States Black Heritage Group and then the Jewish roots. So I was thrilled that we had two heritage groups together today, so we can explain how WikiTree is respectful, how we create these space pages that are really dedicated to the people who came before us.
And anyone can edit it pretty much.
Yeah.
So
And
everyone can add the information that they have. It's not just all the leaders or whoever who are running it. Everyone helps. So that's people welcome, please.
Okay, so let me go ahead and close down and I'll start the second bingo card. Is everybody ready? Let me bring my screen up. This is the one too that I have a little cheat sheet too. So guys, bear with us. We're doing a little bit of trivia with this, but being respectful with it. So bear with us as Elaine and I work through this and give you some information about specifically the towns and the people that you might see on this bingo card. Okay, let me bring this back up. So we've got Odessa, And this is obviously a large.
I did look at it this morning when you sent it to me. Yeah. And I realized that after I sent you this, that typically it's spelled with only one S. That's what I get for being from Texas and knowing about Midland, Odessa area. Anyway, Odessa is a very large seaport city on the Black Sea. It is currently a part of Ukraine. And it had almost, it had about 35% Jewish population for decades
Wow.
and decades, but no longer.
Wow.
New York State. Oh, I didn't put that one on. I didn't look up the stats.
Oh,
I
in
want to
New York
say,
State. Well, this one's pretty obvious. I think that
yeah,
you have a New York State has a tremendous amount. What I think that we typically think of the more stronger Orthodox Jews of America.
every type, but yes,
Yeah.
there are plenty there. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and a lot of people went into the port and stayed. So yeah.
And
Oh, Mark Rothko.
yeah.
Oh, I should be able to say more about it. Here, you say so.
He's a painter. He's an artist. He's a painter, and he actually became really, really famous because he painted the Four Seasons in New York, their dining room. But he's known for being more understated and muted. He doesn't come out with these extremely vibrant colors like some artists does. He's very muted colors. He has painted the inside of congregations and different types of buildings around the United States, possibly around the world, but I know definitely around the United States. In Omaha, now this surprised me, and I will tell you, I used to travel for business every week, and Omaha is one of my favorite all-time towns. Everybody laughs, but it really is an awesome town. So when I saw that Omaha is one of the cities in the United States that has a quite large Jewish congregation, I was pleasantly surprised because it just made Omaha even more cooler to me. This one's on you.
Oh, I just put that one on there because Jacob is what we say in English, but and I didn't put the Hebrew on there, but you'll see Yaakov, and that means the same thing. One of the biblical patriarchs and a very common name. This is a province. That's the word for a province in Poland. So kind of like a county. Right now they just have 16 of them, but historically they had tons and tons of them. So that's just something sometimes you'll run across that word in documents.
Especially with us genealogists. This one surprised me, Miss Elizabeth Taylor. So, and I did forget to look up. So if anybody wants to look up who was Elizabeth Taylor's third husband, feel free. Because after her third husband died, she decided to convert to Judaism. And not only did she convert, she was definitely all in because she had raised it was a tremendous amount of funds. I know it was over $1 million, but she had raised a tremendous amount of funds for Israel for the Jewish state. So she traveled there quite often. So she wasn't one of these people who just converted just to convert. Oh, I think Wilder, was it Mark Wilder? I think it was. Thank you, Marvin. Southwest Nashville. I did live in Nashville for a hot minute there, and I can attest to this. There is a large congregation of Jewish people there too as well, and it's really quite cool what they do. I see Miss Molly.
She's back to
Do
win.
spies Molly. Molly is, by the way, our official WikiTree dog mascot.
Oh,
And we need to get her a little like super cape that says WikiTree.
Oh, I had more notes for this one for Galicia, but it's a historical region by Austria and Hungary, and like many countries in Eastern Europe, it's changed hands over many years. But you'll see even in U.S. Census records sometimes under the ethnicity or country, it'll say Galicia or Galician instead of yeah.
Because it Spain?
No, not
now?
Spain. It's
Is
it's
it
by
still Galicia now?
no, it's one of the traditional names was Galicia or Austria Galicia, and then it's also by Hungary.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking
yeah.
of a different region than by Spain.
Uh-huh.
We actually have a project for this.
That's
Yes,
what I thought.
there
Yeah.
is.
Old Poland. Thank you, Stephen. Old Poland.
Oh,
And
yeah. So Galveston is a port in Texas. Well, actually, it's an island with a port. Um, and in the early 1900s, there were several thousand Jews who came there, partially because they were told that New York doesn't really want any more Jewish Jewish immigrants. So they went to Galveston, and some of them stayed there, but a lot of them moved up through Texas, even into like deep East Texas, which I didn't realize. Like I knew they came up to Dallas because I'm from Dallas, and one of my neighbors' families was one of the Galveston original families. But yeah, some of them went up and stayed in East Texas, and uh, um, a couple of congregations have just closed. One just closed in Longview. So, I mean, it lasted a long time, but
it
people
did.
moved to bigger places. Sorry, I wasn't watching the screen.
No,
All
no,
right,
no, you're fine. No, it's
Birmingham.
amazing
I
that they
don't know.
came from New York to Galveston. That's a interesting trip to make.
But yeah,
And
my grandmother actually still has all these hat boxes, and I need to figure out who I made one WikiTree profile for one of the Jewish hat merchants, but there's Bluestein's and all these other places in Beaumont, which is East Texas, not too far from Houston. So I want to figure out who these people are and if they came from Galveston or through Galveston and stuff. Anyway, I have a bunch of her hats. Anyway.
and then Birmingham's in Alabama. And Stephen Sondheim. I don't know anybody who probably has not heard some of his music. He is probably most famous. Well, he's very famous for all his Broadway, but most famous for West Side Story. So if you've seen or heard any songs from West Side Story, but it goes a little deeper than that for him. I had to take some notes. He has 8 Tony Awards, 1 Academy Award, 8 Grammys, 1 Pulitzer, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Wow.
So he's pretty well known. And then Jerry Lewis. I don't know who hasn't heard of Jerry Lewis. I grew up. I mean, it wasn't Memorial Day or Labor Day. We had to watch his telethons, but he is a comedian first, and then he decided to do these telethons for muscular dystrophy and donated. Had so much money come in and donated. People donated money for this telethon. I think he's the king of telethons. We don't really see telethons anymore. I don't think. Oh, we
Not
have a
really.
bingo.
Bingo, Teresa.
Teresa, congratulations, Teresa. We have a bingo. That's we didn't get to everybody. So let me usually when we do a little bit of the trivia, we just quickly go through some more. But Teresa, what you'll want to do is you'll want to email, and I'll bring this up. And Janine, if you need this again as well. So you're going to email Eowyn@wikitree.com. And Teresa, you're going to tell her that go ahead. You tell the rules. Go ahead, Molly.
You wanted
That you won the bingo for the Jewish Roots second bingo. And she will send you an email back telling you everything that you need to know about how to claim your prize. And that's congratulations. I'll just go through a couple more real quick. We have a couple more trivias. So Savannah, we talked about Savannah, Georgia. And for those who are watching, we already have a bingo. We're just going through some more details about the Jewish roots. So Elaine, this would be.
Oh yeah, that's in Lithuania, also called Vilnius, and that was a center of a lot of where a lot of rabbis came from, Orthodox rabbis, and
And then Poland, Congress Poland.
Okay, so that I just wrote Congress Poland on there because Poland was split up into 3 different parts. Oh golly, where are my notes?
Fine.
I don't have my notes.
That's fine. That gives us something
Austrian part, Russian part. So it's kind of in three. The central part was like main Poland, and then Austrian part, and then Russian part.
Russian part. This is probably one of the most beloved Jewish individuals around the world. Elie Wiesel. We mentioned, I think Azor mentioned too, that there was the Holocaust Museum that he spoke at. He's actually an award-winning journalist, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, but he's also a Holocaust survivor. And he did spend a tremendous amount of time in his later life talking about the Holocaust and talking about how we should, as a group of global individuals, treat each other. Red Bank. That is a town in New Jersey. And Tucson, another town that's in Arizona. These are towns that have a large congregation of Jewish members. Richmond, Virginia. And then Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is a little bit of the trivia. She's actually the second woman to be on the Supreme Court of the United States, but she's the first female Jewish justice. Louisville, Kentucky. This one kind of surprised me, but Louisville, Kentucky has a large community of Jewish as well, and Myrtle Beach. So that was kind of a surprise to me. Some of the areas and the territories where we live and play, and we're around at your heritage all the time. Let me bring this up again for Teresa. There you go, Teresa.
And since I don't have a great computer set up here, I wasn't watching the chat. Was there anything in particular people asked?
I think we got most of it. I think a lot were amazed at some of the information you shared. I know that I thought it was really interesting to learn about some of the places and the words, and also the fact that the cities, how many different places people that would not, you think of Myrtle Beach is only play and fun and things like that. But when you also told me that they came from New York to go to Galveston, it's just an odd path that you wouldn't think.
They didn't actually land in New York, if I remember correctly. Like they went straight from Europe to Galveston.
No, but were they around that area and then they traveled down?
Oh, no. They were like Eastern European Jews who wanted to come to America. And New York was like, we're full. Go to Galveston. So they went to Galveston.
It's just amazing that's just a town, a random town a city in the United States.
Yeah, I didn't know that except only because of my neighbor and because of other research. And there weren't that many who went through there, but it's definitely significant for Texas history. So
that is.
Yeah.
And then another one of Elizabeth Taylor's many husbands.
And what Kate's referring to about significant for Black history, that's because the one of the Union generals came to Galveston about 3 months after the end of the Civil War. Well, in June. So the Civil War ended in April. He came in June and told Texas, get your act together. The slaves are free. The war is over. And yeah, they landed in Galveston because Galveston is a good port.
Was a good port. And I just mentioned John gave a little plug for the rock event. If you haven't heard about that, please go to G2G. And random acts of WikiTree kindness. Did I get that right, anyone?
Yep. It's going to be fun.
And it's really, please go to G2G to see that. It's really cool. It's really fun.
Do you want me to tell them really quick what it is?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so right now we're taking nominations for WikiTree's. And then in March, we'll kick off the actual rock event. And we'll pick 5 of the nominated WikiTree's at random, just 5 random ones. And for the month of March, we'll have rockers who are volunteers who are going to work on trying to improve their CC7 scores. So 5 WikiTree's will get basically the WikiTree challenge attention throughout the month of March and see how much we can improve their CC7 numbers.
And is it for a whole month? We work on it for a whole month? That's cool. So it's not like a quick weekend or a quick week. We get a whole month.
A whole month. Yep.
That is awesome.
And we're going to try
and do that. That is such a great iddia. Thank you for doing that, Eowyn.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're going to try and do it in June and September also. So, and if it goes well, maybe we'll just keep it going.
Why not? That's the cool thing too. We were talking about WikiTree. There's so many ways to engage. There's so many ways to collaborate. And even though, for example, you might not have Jewish roots, there's still ways that you can collaborate if you're interested in helping another project, if you're interested in learning about another project or their heritage, or you have somewhere, maybe you married into a Jewish family that had ancestors from a while ago, and they want to look into it and explore and see, what did their ancestors do? Where did they land in anywhere around the world? Because your particular Jewish heritage is so global. It's not defined by the United States or Israel. It is so global, and it's a great project. And if anybody has any questions, guess who they can ask? Elaine.
I will be glad to answer them best I can. And if I can't answer it, I probably know who to ask. So
There we
I'm
go.
glad to do that.
That works. Well, I think that's it, everybody. I wanted to say thank you to Elaine, and Eowyn and I will see you again later on tonight. We have got at 6 p.m. Eastern another heritage project, one that is also popular with WikiTree, and that's the United States Black Heritage Project, which I believe, Elaine, you're part of as well.
Yes, I am. It is a super busy and super fun project. I can't say enough good things about it. I'll let Emma and Denise do that later.
You oversee the Heritage Exchange, right?
Yes. I'm team leader for the Heritage Exchange, so pre-1865. So we work on connecting enslaved ancestors and slave owners and just documenting as much as we can. We have a bunch of cool categories that are pretty easy to use, and everyone is welcome to take part.
They'll talk about it tonight, but it's really cool. They just started a video series about it, so it was really interesting to see what you guys are doing. It's really cool.
It is,
Yeah,
and well needed, especially as far as I'm concerned, because I need to dig into the specifics, and that's what the video helps me do. So we will see everybody for part 2 of Heritage a little bit later on tonight.
Thank
Come on
y'all.
back. Bye.
Bye.